It is time now for Around the World with Shane Hannon.
Time of the week, Ashley.
It is, absolutely. So, Shane, where are you taking us first?
So we're going to go on a little trip around the world, Ashley.
Nice.
Hence the name. See what I did there. So this is our new weekly segment. It's probably 4 or 5 weeks in at this stage. We're still going to call it new. Quirky sporting stories from around the globe that you might have missed if you haven't been paying full attention. We're going to start, Ashley, in Venice Beach, Los Angeles, USA. There's a sport called pickleball. People might not have heard of it, but it's quite similar to tennis, badminton, ping pong. You'll see a video up on screen here. So it's like a much smaller tennis court.
Yeah.
Lower net than tennis as well. Players use these solid paddles to hit a perforated hollow ball. So the equipment limits them to how hard and far they can whack it. But there's clearly not much movement. It's not the same as tennis. Apparently that was an unbelievable score, by the way. You can see the fans going wild in that video that we have up on screen. This sport, pickleball, from the CBS Sports video, it's taken the world by storm. So the marketing of this sport is that it's fun. It has social benefits. It's about meeting up with your mates and having a chat. Now, this is obviously a competitive game that you were seeing on screen there. But
So it is professional?
Yeah, they have this Major League Pickleball now, MLP. So there are top professional players. But I guess it's taken off so much in America because of the amount of people playing it just socially.
Yeah.
People are maybe find a tennis court too big to run around, and that's fair enough. I guess it's a more fun, less limiting example of tennis. Now, it's a lot of elderly people as well.
So I was thinking, yeah, if you don't want to do as much running.
Yeah, which is fair enough, I guess. Apparently, it's the fastest growing sporting activity in the US. So I mentioned Venice Beach. This is, of course, beside the famous Muscle Beach in Los Angeles. If you go there now to Venice Beach, you'll see lots of people playing pickleball, apparently. So one of the former champions, former Wimbledon junior champion Noah Rubin, who has switched from tennis's ATP tour to play pickleball, says the tennis court's way too big, way too much ground to cover. Came across the pickleball court and it clicked for me. So some of the figures actually in here are quite remarkable in terms of the growth. So almost 5 million people in the US played pickleball in 2021. It's at an annual average growth of 11.5%. Tennis annual growth 4.9%. So it's growing exponentially faster than tennis. The pandemic was probably quite good for it, in that people, could maybe quite easily set up a little pickleball court in their garden. You don't need the massive space to play tennis. So I understand from that perspective, a lot of famous faces getting involved in this, Ashleen, as well. So Major League Pickleball has been expanded to 24 teams. Many are backed by A-list ownership groups. So Naomi Osaka and the Wimbledon runner-up Nick Kyrgios have invested in a new Miami-based team alongside the NFL superstar Patrick Mahomes.
So the professional tennis players are actually back in this game.
They're all and you'd expect there to be a bit of rivalry between the two
I was
sports.
thinking, would they take it seriously? Is there a bit of what is that?
There seems to be, there's elements of that for sure, but clearly if the likes of Kyrgios and Osaka are getting involved, you have another expansion consortium including Tom Brady, Kim Clijsters, the 4-time major champion in tennis. You have LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Eva Longoria, the supermodel Heidi Klum. They're also putting in money as well. So there's 6 events across the US for the mixed gender teams. Prize money of $5 million. So there's money being put in behind this as well. Commercial growth means that there's tennis players switching over. Sam Querrey, who's a recently retired tennis player, notably beat Andy Murray to reach the Wimbledon semi-finals back in 2017. He's probably the biggest name convert. He's going to play in the Major League Pickleball this year. There is a bit of a war between tennis and pickleball. So we mentioned a few of those names that are getting involved, but there is certainly an element of the tennis community that are like, nah, screw these guys.
Oh yeah, I could
taking
see
over
that.
our sport and trying to change it. But the backlash, some of the comments here, Australian doubles legend Renee Stubbs: I will never turn on a TV to watch pickleball. I would rather watch paint dry. Why all these tennis players think pickleball is worth investing in and not the game that made them all the dollars is beyond me. So there's clearly a deep concern among some. A playground in New York City recently banned pickleball. Local media describing months of conflict between players and local parents. The parents saying their children were being driven away from the Sarah Valley playground in West Village and forced action. So this sport is causing a lot of controversy.
Wow,
actually.
yeah.
But, I just wanted to bring people's attention to it on around the world because not everyone is familiar with it.
No, I wasn't familiar with it, no. And that clip that we watched, it was like doubles. Is it singles as well?
Doubles, and I'm fairly sure there's singles. I've only watched doubles matches because
it looks quite hard to do the singles. So close up, it's tight.
It's
like
true.
To be able to get over
and the fact that the racket is limiting it, you can't just whack the ball. makes sense as well. So they've obviously designed the equipment to kind of fit. Invented 1965 in Seattle, Washington, as we discovered in the office during the week. We were all kind of having a bit of a pickleball discussion yesterday, the day before. So if it ever comes up in a quiz question, pickleball invented in 65.
And does Ireland have a pickleball?
I don't actually know.
Are you setting one up?
Do you know what?
Monaghan?
I'm gonna research this after the show today. If Ireland has any pickleball teams, get in touch. We'd love to have you on the show to talk about it. And Colin Buhig, our tennis aficionado on AM, clearly not a massive fan necessarily. Is that fair to say, Colin, of pickleball? I mean,
he's a tennis snob, is he?
Name the two famous rock stars born in Seattle, he's just said into my ear. Because Seattle, of course, being the place where pickleball was invented. Kurt Cobain.
Boom.
Jimi Hendrix.
You.
I mean,
yes.
Let me tell you, folks, if there's a pub quiz, give me a shout.
Yeah, geez, Shane, you're on my team.
I'm a good man for a pub quiz, I have to say. That's the first story from around the world this week. So we'll come back to pickleball. Because this is not the last you'll have heard of pickleball in this show.
From the rise of pickleball, and where do we go next?
We're going, Aisling, to Paris. I love the music. It's fantastic. The French Football Federation President, Noël Le Gall. Good pronunciation.
Yes, we'll give you Cameron Hill.
Cameron Hill, who has lived in France and speaks fluent French. I was like, before the show, how do you pronounce that? He's like, Noël Le Gall. And I was like, here.
Say it again.
Noël Le Gall. Cameron, you can let me know if I've butchered that, but or else just come in and say it for me. But he's apologised for clumsy remarks he made about Zinedine Zidane's potential interest in coaching the French national team. Who knew there'd be controversy in French football?
Imagine.
I mean, never happens, does it? So this was an interview with French radio. The 81-year-old Legré, I'm going to stop saying his name now, said he wouldn't even have taken his call if Zidane had been in touch. There's Legré on the right of that photograph there with the current French boss Didier Deschamps. Legré saying on Monday the comments do not reflect his views. Deschamps has signed a new contract with France until 2026. As of recently, of course, after their run to the World Cup final, where they were, of course, lost to Argentina. Legré said, I gave an interview to French radio station RMC that I should not have given because they were looking for controversy by opposing Didier and Zinedine Zidane, two greats of French football. I admit that I made some clumsy remarks which created a misunderstanding. Zidane, of course, a fairly top-level manager. Now, what's interesting here, Legré says he's never met Zidane. And there in that picture there, you'll see Legré in the front row on the right and Zidane on the right-hand side. I found that picture online when I just googled Legré Zidane.
Is that real?
Apparently so. Now, when he says he never met him, maybe they were just in the photograph together and they didn't really have a proper conversation. That's Deschamps on the left, of course, and I think François Hollande, the French president, was in that, the ex-president in that photograph as well. Kylian Mbappe got involved in this, Aisling, which he tends to do, gets involved. There's Mbappe in the photo with Legré. He described Legré's comments as disrespectful. Then the French sports minister Amélie I'm going to have to pronounce this now. Amélie Oudéa-Castéra demanded an apology from Legré for a shameful lack of respect. She was calling for an immediate rectification following these inappropriate comments. Essentially, he was asked whether Zidane had called him about the French head coach's job, and Legré said, I wouldn't even have taken his call. To tell him what? Hello, sir, don't worry, look for another club. I just agreed a contract with Didier. It's up to him what he does. It's not my business. I've never met him, and we've never considered parting with Didier. He can go where he wants, to a club. He would have as many as he wants in Europe, a big club, but a national side is hardly credible to my mind. I don't know if that was a dig, him saying that he couldn't, Zidane, manage a national team or France, that he should stick to the club game.
Mind blowing, like you don't touch Zidane. Like
no.
That is just a no-go area.
100%.
Like, no way.
And Noël Legré has yesterday stepped aside as president of the FFF just days after making these comments, so he's kind of taking a back seat. Cameron Hill has joined us in studio as well. Cameron, please, can you please just pronounce the name?
Noël Legré.
Thank you very much, Cameron. Thank you for your contribution this morning on OTB AM. So it's very handy to have someone like that to just pop in and give us a pronunciation.
You're so talented here.
If you ever need a Monaghan pronunciation of any names, you can bring me in, or likewise Aisling for
Not
the Meath
that's
names.
for sure.
Yeah, we'll bring Colin O'Rourke in for the Meath pronunciations. Thank you very much for that contribution, Cameron. That was excellent. Highlight of the show today for me, to be honest. But that's what's going on in French football. It's a bit of a mad one, and I mean, considering all the controversies in French football over the last number of months, for this to be the reason why Noël Legré, we should just insert Cameron's voice there, but anyway, why he has stepped aside, it's a bit bonkers.
Madness, absolutely.
So yeah, just the fact that Mbappe got involved as well. But yeah, that's Paris.
From Paris then back to the USA.
Back to the States, actually. There we go. So let me just find my notes here and see where exactly we're headed. We're headed to Palm Beach, Florida, USA. Nice. So lovely hot climes, but not a very lovely story, it has to be said. So the 9-time major winner, golf major winner that is, Gary Player, has been involved in a very bitter dispute. There he is on screen, pointing the way. But this dispute involves family. So his son and his grandson, and it's all over memorabilia. It's quite pathetic. But it's taken a legal turn now. So player, of course, winner 9 major championships, as I said. He's suing his son there pictured in the photograph, Mark, alongside himself, and his grandson as well, over memorabilia that they have either sold or tried to sell. This is according to the local paper in Palm Beach, the Palm Beach Post. Memorabilia is supposed to be returned to player, according to the report. Back in August, Gary Player announced that his son Mark had put, quote, several trophies and other pieces of memorabilia up for auction. And he released a statement to say, I would like to draw the public's attention to the fact that several trophies and other pieces of memorabilia that form part of my legacy have been put up for auction by my son and ex-manager, Mark. These items belong to me, and I've taken action to recover them. I have placed no items for sale, whether by auction or otherwise. So these pieces of memorabilia that Mark and Mark's son, Player's grandson, have been held in 19 lockers in South Carolina. So this is, it sounds like a movie, some of this crack.
And obviously a lot of stuff if there's 19 lockers.
100%. You can imagine the amount of things, and I mean, some of it is probably priceless in that it means a lot to Gary, because you look back on his career and there's little moments and bits of memorabilia that stand out for him. But
why is it all in lockers? Why is something at his house?
It's a very good question. Maybe there's so much of it that he just can't hold on to all of it, or maybe Mark put it all in the lockers and now Gary wants to access. It's just a big messy one. So it's being alleged that Damien Player, who is the grandson, solicited buyers for the memorabilia and sold or helped to sell Rolex watches for, quote, significant sums of money. So some of these items that were already sold in 2021: Player's 1974 Masters Tournament trophy, his South African Open trophy, his 1965 US Open irons, his clubs, his golf shoes from his 52nd Masters Tournament, all already sold in 2021. And this is a last resort, bringing legal action apparently. So he says, Stuart Singer, in fact, Player's attorney, says, only with the greatest reluctance and after many years of trying to avoid this did Gary have to enforce his rights in this way. So the suit against Damien Player was originally filed in November in Florida. It's still ongoing. Player, of course, considered one of the greatest golfers of all time, one of just 5 players as well to win a career Grand Slam, something we'd love to see Rory McIlroy do by clinching the Masters this year. But really, really messy one. It's
so sad,
yeah,
isn't it?
Well, there's family involved.
Yeah, to have won all that, to have such a successful career, and then you hear all this with his family, and you know there's such a divide. So sad.
Yeah, 100%. I remember hearing like, I'm obviously a massive space geek, needless to say, and there was
well as snooker.
Exactly, yeah, all my little niche mastermind subjects. But Buzz Aldrin, the second man to walk on the moon, was involved in different bitter legal disputes with members of his family as well, over bits of memorabilia and autographs and flown items and stuff that he's had in his collection. So certainly Gary Player's instance is not a one and only. You know, there are many of these instances where sadly, when money's involved,
they're just trying to cash in.
Exactly,
really,
100%. Yeah. Look, you'd love them to be able to. I'm just trying to see what age Gary Player is here, but Gary is currently, what age? He's 87. I mean, you'd love to see this be ironed out in the next year or two, or as quickly as possible, because it's one of those things with families involved. They'll all regret it for the rest of their lives. You'd imagine,
big time,
if they can't work this out. So
it takes away from all of that success, doesn't it?
100%.
He probably at this point, like we'd see, I'm sure it brought on a lot of stress.
Yeah.
And at this point, he's probably like, geez, I'd rather have won nothing, and none of this have ever happened.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah. One of the greatest players of all time, and for this to be, well, he describes all these items as his legacy. I understand that as someone who likes to collect a little bit of memorabilia. We have something that's actually from.
What do you collect?
We had so I've always collected autographs.
Okay, yeah.
Now I've kind of stopped doing it in recent years, but I still have a massive selection of like sports autographs, astronaut autographs.
What's your best one that you've ever got?
Well, I was over in Vegas during the summer on a bit of a road trip with a few of the lads, and we went to Gene Kilroy's house, who's Ali's manager, and our former business manager, Muhammad Ali, and he gave me a glove signed by Muhammad Ali, which, I mean, that's top of my list.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, I have a snooker cue signed by Ronnie O'Sullivan and Jimmy White, which, I mean, for me is up there.
Yeah.
But an Ali signed boxing glove is just straight from the desk of his manager.
My God, yeah.
That's top of my list.
I was trying to think of one that I might have. Okay, I've none on that level,
Right,
absolutely not. But I remember it was the open of my GA club in Ratoath, and Mead were playing Mayo, and I was obsessed with Ciara MacDonald. But I actually had,
You didn't ask for his socks, did you?
No, I didn't go that far. Jeez. But no, I absolutely loved him, and I actually had a game that day. We were playing an under 12 blitz in Carlow for me that day, and I was going to miss the game. So everybody knew that I loved Ciara MacDonald, and I came back after the game and I had 12 signed autographs from Ciara MacDonald. The 12 different people,
oh my God,
had ran up to him, and it was like best wishes from Ciara MacDonald to Aisling. I was like, I have all of them.
Yeah, he's like, who is this Aisling girl looking for 12 autographs?
12 different Aislings.
Yeah, do you still have them?
Still have them.
Class.
Yeah.
At least you held on to them.
Big time. Yes.
It leads us nicely into the last.
Yes, we're staying in the USA.
In the USA. It's USA heavy around the world this morning, but so be it. We're heading, Aisling, to San Francisco. The Darwin Awards are awards handed out to people who have maybe been killed in stupid scenarios. Luckily, in this instance, this fan that I'm about to mention was uninjured. So an overzealous San Francisco 49ers fan taking quite the bump after a win last weekend over the Arizona Cardinals to end the regular season on a 10-game winning streak. So, I mean, it's good times for the 49ers. They're going well. Their quarterback, Brock Purdy, was running back into the locker room. He threw a towel toward the fans who were still in the stands at the Levi Stadium. And there's one fan in particular who tried to reach the towel with his left hand while on the edge of the railing. We actually have a short video of this incident here. So you'll see the fan, the towel being thrown first of all. Bump. Here's the fan. There he goes. Gone. Now, the fall isn't too bad. Luckily, as I said, he's uninjured. But to say, the guy turned around and laughed as well. So clearly it's not that serious if people around him are laughing. So there's the towel. Thinks he can get there.
I mean,
he's gone. So, but misjudged how far away the towel was, clearly. The momentum carries him over the handful of other fans as well. Appears to knock down a couple of other people on the way, so just causing a little bit of carnage in Levi Stadium. So Purdy threw 3 touchdown passes in that game, 30-13 win, 6th straight game that Purdy has had multiple touchdowns. The whole thing is a bit bizarre because adults looking for a sweaty towel off a professional, also an athlete, an adult sports person. We were talking before the show, Aisling, about these kids who hold up the signs at matches. Can I please have your shirt? Mm-hmm. When I see adults grown. And I'm after saying that I used to collect memorabilia, so look, no judgment as a kid, and no judgment here.
And you could still do that as an adult, but this is extreme.
I mean, it's a sweaty towel, like.
Yeah.
Now, some people, again, it could be financially based. You think I'm going to grab this towel and sell it on eBay. George Purdy's playing really well at the minute.
Yeah, they're just smart. They're just smart.
100%, but it just makes me sick.
In.
Makes me sick to my stomach. Listen.
This is why you asked me about the socks, because this is what I've heard so many times.
Bizarre.
Running on after a game trying to get interviews, and I hear the kids beside me asking the players, can I have your socks? I'm like, socks? And the players are just like, no.
Yeah, I mean,
you're not having my socks.
Smelly socks, get away from about me. I mean, just don't. So that, Aisling, 3 out of 4 in the States, but a few of the stories that I feel people might have missed this week.
Enjoy them.
It's so unexpected.
It's one of those you had to be there moments.
You had to be there.
It subsequently genuinely did change everything about my life.
I had to be there.